Hey there, guys and gals. This one was really fun. I emptied out in Anniston, Alabama, and then we kind of ran into a snag, had a couple loads pretty much cancel, and showed up and somebody tried to break the load confirmation agreement and overload me, and that's not going to work either. So we found this one, and that was a 215-mile deadhead over north of Batesville, Mississippi. From more jobs going south to Mexico, this plant closed. Wire place closed in the spring, but all this equipment, it turned out it was the load was advertised as 2 fork trucks. Well, as you can see, there's a lot more than 2 fork trucks. So they put the scissor lift on. That was no problem. But when I got here, they said they had all this extra stuff to put on. So let's take a look at it, and I'll show you how I do my chains. So you can see just overall that there is a lot to it. Now I'm using a single chain here, but you notice I also use a single chain there. This is where you can see it. This kind of grab that I do, I learned from somebody that had about 50 years of trucking. A single chain with the extra in the center just laying on the deck. But if you use binders, it's basically on each side, it makes it neutral, and it makes its own individual chain. So you take one chain, turn it into 2 without cutting it. So that's a good tip for you guys. Same thing up there. Those are quick binders, like I probably showed you before. They have a neutral position, so you can just twist them and take up the slack, hit the cog, and start tightening. It's pretty quick. I had to find places that I couldn't really put any chains up right through there, because right behind there is the hydraulic cylinders, and you can just see them right around the edge here. You can't dent those. So I couldn't run chains over there, and it was a little bit too short this way. So, because from here even to a stake pocket, it was just a little short. I thought, well, let's try going high with it, and we'll get a high-low situation that helps a lot. So I've got everything avoided. There's so much business in there, you just got to kind of take it easy. And it's got a good solid grab on the casting. So looking at the, if it's bolted or if it's part of the actual material, let's check it out. When you're doing this kind of thing, you want to make sure that you're watching for all that kind of stuff. So down below here, I've got grabs. This one wouldn't go through, that will go through the one way on the other end through the axle, but this way, it's the way the axle was designed. I had to go in a different grab, so that's why one's low, one's high on this, but they're still a pretty good grab, and they'll pull against those other chains. And this is where all the weight is on a fork truck. It's the ballast in the rear. That's to keep it from tipping when lifting loads. So that's all solid steel ballast. Other than that, there's loose pieces up there. I put a chain over it, and I'm going to end up putting a couple straps up there too, just to make sure. But I've got it actually tied in with a webbing strap. You can't really see it. I may climb up there and show you. This is kind of strange, but I just wanted to get a good grab. Let's get an L-shaped piece of steel over there. Very, very different. And sitting on dunnage, but when I pulled it the once, it pulled off the other side, but the dunnage is trapped. Just make sure you don't have any loose stuff. As long as it's trapped that way, that's good. Now with this, I incorporated two ways to grab that other piece. I basically went right over the top of the beam, so when I pulled down on it, it actually pulled down there and over there, so you can see it. Here's a special deal. I have this pushing down on the scale, and it's pushing down on the pallet. I mean, this is just, a bunch of extra stuff they threw on at the last minute. So, and it was loaded in almost pitch dark. They had a little light going on up on the building up there, but it wasn't that bright. They only had one. And, of course, when they all loaded and went home, they did offer to help me, but with headlights, but it's actually dangerous. If I make a misstep or trip on a chain and fall off the trailer, then I'm in trouble. So for safety's sake, I opted to wait for daylight, which I did. And it's taken a while to do all this. So I got this pallet jack. It's mashed down. It can't go anywhere. It's trapped. trapped by steel, trapped by chains. I've got a piece of wood dunnage over here to make a push down on this scale piece. That's a separate piece. So that's on there, and it's so tight, it's banjo string tight. That'll work. And let's see what we got here. And then you notice the chain wrap here. That's just to neutralize it. So that piece can't go anywhere. It can't slide under a chain, nothing, because it's trapped. And it's also sitting right in between the forks, and that's good. Same kind of deal here with the grab is one chain made into two by separate grabs on the corners. So right into the casting, I had to stay away from all the hydraulics, the lines, everything. You know, it's good and tight. So in here, everything is low, and you can kind of see it. It's up through the axle. I just had to be careful that I'm not touching any brake lines, steering lines, any other lines that might be in there. So you have to kind of run your fingers through there. You can see some of the lines over there, but you have to be kind of careful. So I couldn't really run through there because I might come up and touch that one line right there. So you have to be careful. I was actually on my belly, you know. That's just the way it is. I'm filthy dirty after this one, but that's the name of the game. I was covered in grease. I've already cleaned up twice because all this stuff is covered in oil and grease and dirt. And once you get the grease on you, it's like a magnet. So once you get to a certain point, you might want to clean up a little bit, you know. And I wear gloves, but when I'm doing chains by feel, I have to take those off so I can feel the chains and feed them through these tight spots. That's why it's taken me so long. But chain pockets, yeah, right here, these are better. So if you get a chance to use those, great. I mean, they'll hold more because they're a 3/8 chain, and they're rated a little higher. So this is to be the next, and you know, try not to use just these. If you're going to run a chain through it, don't. If you run through it and then attach to here, then you've got the extra strength, but don't just depend on one of these. It'll pull out. So try not to do that on equipment like this, or coils. That's why all those are on there. If you're hauling coils, use the chain pockets as much as possible. And extras, if you run out, then of course use the stake pockets. Now there's some of these pins that are on the back. Some people have used these before, but the problem is those lift right out. If something happens where it bounces and that chain comes undone and it pops through, it probably wouldn't happen, but let's just say it did. Well, then you have a problem. So I went through steel, go through casting, steel, and you can see all the business in there. You know, steering, and you know, all the different pistons that are in those cylinders and stuff, and there's lines. You just got to be careful. You don't want to mess the equipment up, because anything that bounces that, you know, several thousand pounds against a chain, those lines are going to go. So you have to stay away from them on that side. So let's just kind of walk around and give you an idea what the heck. I haven't even tarped yet. They said they want this stuff tarped, so let's see. I don't know why, because it's pretty nasty, but well, we'll try, I guess. I used every chain I had, so it's pretty interesting. But yeah, it was pretty dark too. I couldn't see trying to go down this road because it looks like a highway. It's got yellow markings. It's like, oh my gosh. Let's see. Pretty much same thing all the way down. I walked up this catwalk here and you can get an idea. It's pretty good to go. As long as you've got capture points on 4 corners and they're dead on the money, I mean, they're going to hold like that, you should be okay. You have to watch for loose parts. Now I'm going to go back around and climb up. Show you what's going on. There's that one strap came over. I tied everything down. My tarps are just laying there because I'm getting ready to carry them and feed them over the load. That's going to be fun. Okay, this special pieces parts. Just got to take care of business. chain running right over the top of this. Stuff's tied in. It's got some parts in here. Had them put in a box. So at least had some kind of container so it wasn't bouncing all over the place. Because once I tarp it, it should be good to go. But I'm going to come in here and I'm going to throw a couple of straps. You can see the grab. See all the business back here. There's a lot of stuff you can't just feed through because you could do damage. And we tied the keys on with wire. This piece was laying over here. I look for pieces, parts. Feed it up over, it's all steel, it's not going to come off. But that's a projectile. That could kill someone at 65 miles an hour. So check your stuff. If there's little things, nuts, bolts, like that one part, the one black winch thing, was just laying up on that girder. I grabbed it and went, wait a minute. So that can't be happening. You got to check, put your hands on stuff. Make sure everything's good to go. You can see how this is all captured. I'm going to have to check. You had to check all those parts. Make sure they're all attached, welded on. Not a problem. As you can see when I grab, it's right over the top there, over there, and that thing is trapped. It's not going anywhere. It's actually touching the fork truck in the front, pretty close. So, and there's a piece of dunnage under there. It's still attached. It's not a problem. And that's about it. So, and there's a lot of little things. I'm going to have to check this fire extinguisher. Make sure I can take care of that. And that's pretty floppy. So, that's not good. We're going to end up taking these guys off and we'll lay them up there. So, after several trips of running around, you'll be able to tell what's hanging, what's loose. If it flops in your hand, it won't take the vibration of, 1,000 miles of travel. It could fall off, and there's no reason to send that through somebody's windshield because you're liable. So let's take care of business, and that's it. I'll finish up, and I'll try and shoot when I get all done tarped. Hey guys, it's raining out, so I'm a bit filthy, as you can see. Here's the tarp job. It's all done. So this little video I'm going to ship the agent so they can see what's going on. But it's got at least a dozen chains and 16 binders across. We had a lot. There's the scissor lifts up there, small forklift there, big one's back here, and it's chain down 4 points. Here's some of the extra stuff that they had to put in, and a lot of extra wrapping and stuff like that. But it was just trying to get everything fed through the axles to where I could get it tied down correctly. So it's just time consuming when you're trying to feed chains and stuff. So that's pretty much it. I'm not going to spend a bunch of time on it, but we're ready to rock and roll. We're headed for El Paso. We're going to try and make Friday by 4:30. So hopefully we'll be in good shape. And that's quite the job, but the agent will see how much was involved and maybe help them in the future. So, and help another driver. That's it. Have a great one. See you on the road.